This is the Felicity and the Chrissa featured in my Chrissa-mas surprise haul video, where we showed what we bought ourselves for American Girl for Christmas 2022, and then these dolls that a friend of my sister's gave her. They were her daughters, and we had the beautiful Chrissa Girl of the year 2009 wearing this medley of clothing, and this gorgeous Felicity doll. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how I make them over from top to bottom. I also have these clothes and shoes that were in the bag with them. So we have Felicity's meat socks, which are disgusting. I know a lot of times when I wash clothes it doesn't look like they're dirty. It's because the camera has trouble picking up the squalor, and a lot of the times the clothes don't look dirty, but they actually are. However, these are clearly disgusting. Also, Julie's meat shirt. There is a Julie doll that is MIA right now. That's whose arm this is, if you're wondering. If you see her in this video, then we ended up getting her, and if not, then she could not be retrieved. So you can see all of these really gnarly, disgusting stains on Julie's meat shirt. Then we have Chrissa's swim gear pants, and also the visor that goes to that. Chrissa has her meat dress, and her meat shoes, and her underwear that she's wearing, and then this is her meat bracelet, which is awesome. We have these single shoes from Chrissa's swim gear, Felicity's meat shoe, and Julie's meat shoe, and then these are two non-AG 18-inch clothing items that I'm going to save for Pearl and Dolly, my Our Generation and My Life as dolls that a relative rescued from the garbage for us a few years ago. Felicity's dress has a really gnarly looking collar, like the lace has all gone weird, and then there's like this lovely little stain, and she's wearing a baby diaper. So there are a few ways you can date an American Girl doll. Obviously, like Chrissa's from 2009, she was only available in 2009. However, Felicity is a doll that was available from 1991 until 2011. Then she came back for Be Forever. Then she came back for the anniversary line. This is obviously a Mattel doll, which Pleasant Company was bought out by Mattel in 1998, so any doll after that that was new, that was created, is technically Mattel, but there are Pleasant Company stock dolls. They finished using the body parts and whatnot that they had. The Pleasant Company dolls are squishy, and their vinyl tends to like swell up or shrink down depending on the temperature, and they have very little face paint, and their wigs tend to be less shiny, but you'll note that this Felicity has the word Pleasant Company stamped on the back of her head. They didn't phase out the Pleasant Company stamp until 2010, so over a decade after Mattel purchased Pleasant Company. And this Felicity is obviously Mattel. You can tell from her outfit she was from 2005. I mean, even just looking at her, she's clearly. But Chrissa is from 2009, and they both have the classic mold. Actually, no, she's classic. She's Josephina mold, so they both have, like, quote-unquote Pleasant Company molds. Hers says American Girl LLC. Now you can also tell a difference in the bodies. So the body tags were something they added in the early 2000s, but by 2010 they switched to using knots instead of these metal clamps, these like brass insert things. This is Felicity's body, so this makes her a little older than I thought. She's definitely not towards the closer end of her retirement. She's probably an earlier Mattel doll, like from 2005. So yeah, you can see that Chris is from 2009 and has these little knots, which the knots actually, that's why some dolls come loose, because it's hard to knot them in place, but you don't have as many issues because my other Felicity doll, these brass inserts were clamped down so hard by whoever put her together that they actually were cracked, and I was holding her, her arm and leg just fell off. So yes, that is one way that you can tell them apart. So I know their bodies apart, even though they have the same skin tone. So this is Julie's shirt after it had 2 soaks in laundry detergent and OxyClean, and I did use like pretty warm water to see if I could lift the stains, and it overall looks a lot better. However, you can see there's a couple little orangey marks here and there that I'm going to spot treat with a little bit of bleach, because this is white, so I can use bleach on it, and it's all dry. I don't recommend putting bleach, like if you're just trying to spot treat an item, on wet fabric, because it like wicks into the rest of the fabric really quickly. I discolored doll clothes back in the day, like 10 years ago, when I was starting to learn how to wash them. I discolored some things. So yeah, do it on dry fabric, and I'll just kind of place a little bit of undiluted bleach on the areas and leave it to sit. Bleach loses its potency when mixed with water or like out in the open after an hour anyway, so it's gonna stop working at some point. If say it was like a larger area and this was all white, I could just soak it in bleach, but because of this blue embroidery, I can't do that. I do want to say that like using bleach for me is a last resort, because it is a strong chemical and you can run the risk of discoloring things. If there's any colored part of the clothes, I will make sure to try OxyClean a few times before I bleach out the item. I'm also not a fan of the smell of bleach. I know some people really like it, but I do not. So I'm just gonna make sure. And I just poured some of the bleach in the cap of the bleach bottle. You know, you want it to be like a kind of snug fit. You don't want it to be
too loose or too tight.
Say hi, Emerald. I has the most perfect eyelashes and face paint.
She's beautiful.
So I'm doing you last. There we go. Ta-da! So I'm waiting for another boil wash to heat up because I've done a roller set. It looks really funky. This is only my third time doing a roller set on an American Girl, and so I'm playing around with different techniques. The problem is, no matter the size of the roller, they just run out of space on their heads, but that's okay because I'm not looking for curls. I'm wanting the ends to be tucked under, so that's why these top layers they hang over the others, and that way it's also lifted off the scalp, so the little short weft hairs that like cover where the seams are, those don't get boil washed straight because they're up and away. And then I'm going to redo the top of Chris's head because she's got some like little splitty bits that we want to hide. This process of setting the rollers, or even if you're doing actual curlers to get curly hair, it's very, very, very finicky. It's extremely frustrating, as I mentioned in the captions before, because yes, you will get the curl you want or the curved ends that you want, but the rest of the hair is going to look kind of crazy because it's been separated into all of these different sections. And American Girl dolls have human grade Connect-One, which responds super easily to heat, so that's why you can actually just wet set these dolls' hair without using heat. It won't stay in like permanently, but it will like make curls, like if you braid their hair for instance and stuff. So when you use hot water, it really sets the style, and the position of all of these rollers is going to look kind of awkward. So I really don't like this part of the process, but it's the finishing that makes the overall look at the end the best it can be, so that's why it's worth spending a lot of time. I also dunked the top of Chris's head in the water while I had it out, just because she had some little short bits that stick up. This is common with American Girl wigs, and just getting a little hot water up there, not too much where it'll flatten out the short hairs covering the wefts, but just enough to smooth the top, and then using a lot of diluted gel once it's been set with hot water really helps mask these tiny hairs. But I spent a lot more time on Peridot's hair like I mentioned in the captions, I did have to redo her pin curls. They didn't technically like need redoing, not all of them did, but if I had left them on their own, there was no way to get all of the hot water on the rollers without making contact with her front of her wig where the little pin curls were. So you can see how like spriggly her hair was when I removed the rollers, and you can also see there's little like bumps just from how things were rolled up, and that's what I'm talking about. So you want it to look natural and not awkward, and that's why I don't leave these in to dry, because if you left them in to dry it'd be a lot harder to get it out. But that's also why you have to use boiling water and not just hot water, because I've tried that in the past with previous roller sets to just use like right before it boils, but the curl on the end won't be as strong, and then it's more likely to come out with time, whereas this wave will stay as long as I want it until I put it in boiling water to straighten it out again. So yeah, it's more annoying in the moment, but overall in the long run you're saving time because you won't have to keep redoing it. I did have to heat up another kettle of boiling water so I could fully smooth out all of those bumps, because obviously once the water's been sitting out on the counter for a while, it's going to cool off, and in order to get the hair up top pretty smooth, the water needs to be hot again. And I did have to set her pin curls all over. I had to rewrap them in the little perm rods, and at some point I was just having so much trouble with one of them that I actually just loosely wrapped it around the pin curl rod, the perm rod, sorry, and I didn't even bother like attaching the elastic. I just poured the hot water right over it, which was very hot on my fingers, but I have like a delayed response to heat on my hands because I have Raynaud's, so that's why I'm able to handle the really like hot hair and the boiling water well, which probably would be uncomfortable to a lot of people because I have an extremely delayed response, which is handy for hairstyling dollies, but bad when you touch a hot pan out of the oven and it takes you like 30 seconds to realize you've just burned yourself. So I just spent a lot of time preening and prodding with Peridot. I wanted to give her the best finished product possible. I'm sorry I'm kind of blocking the camera. I should have put my tripod in the sink. So this is a little styling hack I have for American girls with pin curls around their face, whether it's Marie Grace, Elizabeth, or in the case of Felicity. So this is actually not Peridot, the Felicity doll that I made over in this video. This is my other Felicity doll that's from the same era as her that I got at a thrift store. This is Emerald, who is in my American Girl collection this year. Now, Emerald has a more janky wig than Peridot because she was in horrible condition when I got her. Don't be deceived by her new eyeballs. This eye was missing all of its lashes. They had retracted, and I had to send her to the hospital. Her limbs had fallen off because the brass inserts inside have been clamped down so hard they split. It was one arm and one leg, and then she had like some child put nail polish all over her nails and on her face and stuff. So her wig was really janky. So she has a lot of flyaway hairs, like short bits that kind of stick out from under her ponytail where the hair is broken off. And you can pull those out or cut them down. But the problem is if they have a lot of those broken hairs and you do that, they'll end up looking kind of bald at the top. So I mostly just smooth them down with diluted gel. That's why her ponytail looks really crisp right now. But for the pin curls, I'll just take my straight up gel. So this is the gel that I dilute. You can see it's just a really cheap brand. It's maximum hold. A little bit on my finger. Now, I was not able to retrieve all of her pin curls. She only has 2 on each side. So I'll rub a little bit between my fingers. Then I will actually see she is part of another one up here. I'll just kind of coax it back in the shape it wants to go. Hers are a little bit more troublesome. Yeah, she's got 2 on each side. I lied. And you can see that it kind of helps the shape. Wrap it around your finger. I do similar things with Gabriella and Cecile's actual like curly hair. I just don't use gel, but it's a good way. You just re-coax it with your finger. And it makes for a crisper curl. That way it's not all, because these hairs are pretty coarse, and even if you re-curl them yourself like I had to do with Peridots, they're not going to be perfect. It's just the nature of them, and I don't want to cut them off. Hello and welcome to my American Girl table that I have out in my room. I forgot to film something pretty important while I was doing it to Peridot and Chrissa, but I wanted to make sure to mention this. So I'm sure you noticed during the hair process that Peridot especially got very wet, and it definitely went in her eye sockets, and American girls have, you know, blinky eyes, and the way their eyes are made is they have like a metal backing with the like decal and the plastic front and the eyelashes facing forward. So when water gets back there, it makes contact with the metal. Now, I have heard different things from people. This is why I don't tend to just like pass information around that I hear from other people. It's not from my own first-hand experience, because that's how misinformation gets spread. But I've heard some people say, oh, well, the backs of the eyes are aluminum, so therefore they can't rust. But I've actually had people ask me for help because they've had American girls with rusty eyes, and they've had like pictures and stuff of it. So just to err on the side of caution, I always will take my blow dryer. I don't have it plugged in because Kanani is obviously not wet. I will always take my blow dryer after, and I put it on the cold setting. Don't do this if you do not have a blow dryer that goes on the cold setting. You do not want warm or hot air on your American girl's face. You put it on the cold setting, and then you place the front of the blow dryer where the air comes out directly over the eye, being mindful of the eyelash. You can even like kind of hold the eye open a bit, and if you turn the blow dryer in a direction, you'll see water kind of, if there's water in the eye socket, you'll see the water kind of stream out like the doll is crying, and you just do that until the water stops coming. This also helps with cloudy eyes on older dolls that have this sort of eye. I've never seen cloudy eyes on an American girl, but I have on like my aunt's Ideal Toys Shirley Temple, for instance, that I fixed up for her. So that will actually get rid of the cloudiness, and I use it as a preventative measure. I did it on Peridot because she was obviously soaked, but I also did this on Chrissa and no water came out, but it's better to be safe than sorry. You just don't want water back there if the back of the eyes can rust, or you know, you don't want it growing mold or whatever. So that's just a little important PSA, something you should always do if you suspect you've gotten your American girl wet. Now, if you forget to do it, it's not the end of the world. It's probably not going to like ruin your doll automatically. I used to wash my American girls as a kid, and I didn't know this hack, and none of my dolls got rusty eyes, but I just like to do it just in case, as a regular part of my American girl grooming sessions. So we have the fabulous Chrissa before, wearing this really good quality non-AG robe, Julie's shirt, her own underwear. She's honestly like not that dirty, she's just more unkempt. Her hair has shine to it. I mean, you could probably get away with just brushing it out, but no, we're gonna give her the works. So that's Chrissa. And this is Chrissa after. She wasn't difficult to clean up, honestly. She already looked pretty nice. I did have a little trouble at the top of her head because she had some like broken bits. That's why I boil washed her a second time. But she still has the little flippies. And this actually happens to be her whole meet outfit that came with this doll, underwear and everything. But I do have a spare dress that I got at the flea market for $2 this summer, and that's why there are these earrings and this hair clip that I made from resin that I didn't show myself making, because I already had them made to go with my flea market outfit. And this one is about in the same condition. And then this is her little name bracelet that I made her, that all my contemporary dolls have. I think she's so cute, and I've always liked Chrissa. She was one of the girl VR dolls that when I got back into collecting and I saw her, I knew that younger me would have really liked her because she has short hair and blue eyes in the Josephina head mold, and I always loved dolls with short hair because they were not very common in the American Girl line back in the day. Like Kit was a big deal because she had the short bob haircut. Chrissa's hair has a center part, which makes styling it in like ponytails and stuff really easy. So I would have really, really loved this doll as a kid, and for that reason I always joked around and said that if I saw Chrissa used, it'd be very hard to say no to her because she's just one of those dolls that I connect with, but she also wasn't one of the ones that I would have wanted to track down online. So I'm very glad to have gotten her for free. And I found scraps of her at the flea market in the past. Like, I found a pair of her underwear a long time ago, and the sweater to her snowsuit. So it's really awesome finally having her. This is the gorgeous Felicity before. Her outfit's pretty dirty. She's wearing a baby diaper that looks like she pooped in it. She's got her choker, which I don't have, although I have several of these dresses. Her hair doesn't look like it's going to be too bad. It's a little dry on the end, so we'll have to see how that works out. But she does have really dusty eyelashes. I don't know if you can see. She clearly hasn't been played with in a while. So that's Felicity before. Voila, and this is Peridot after. It was kind of a struggle because I had to give her not two roller sets, but one roller set, and it really was a lot of fiddling. But you can see she has this nice little curve at the bottom of her hair, and this hair bow is actually from the outfit I got like this on eBay that was still in its box. But she's gorgeous with her little pierced ears and her perfect looking pin curls, although she is missing one in the middle over here. She looks so different than Emerald, but they're obviously like the same variation. Here, I'll bring Emerald over here. So this is Emerald, my previous Felicity from this era. But yeah, they look a little bit different, and I love how they each are very unique, and I can tell them apart even if they are naked or wearing the same outfit. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dolly Transformations. Feel free to check out these photos of the dolls here on Flickr. And until next time, love your dolls, love yourself, and love your life.